Welcome back, focused learners. Let's jump right into another session explainer. Today, we're zeroing in on the absolute highlights of Session 9, Echoes of the Gauntlet. We're going to enthusiastically dive into the party's relentless double rhythm of descent, tactical withdrawal, and some truly chaotic discoveries. It's a wild ride, so let's get into it.
Okay, here's a quick roadmap of our journey today. First up, wounds and campfire confessions. Second, transactions in Otari. Third, the ruined library. Fourth, the foul shrine complex. And finally, the hidden elevator ascends. This agenda perfectly mirrors the party's operational cycle this time around. Taking a moment to assess their injuries, pulling back to the surface to resupply and fence their weird loot, and then plunging right back into the brutal depths of the dungeon to push even further. All right, let's start things off with Part 1, Wounds and Campfire Confessions. So picture this. We open in the direct aftermath of a massive battle. The party is severely battered. Grimjaw is battling this nasty deep infection. Aloy bears a mysterious shadow scar. And Bite is completely voiceless. Surrounded by dead ghouls and toppled shelves, they do what they actually do best in moments of quiet vulnerability. They share stories of childhood misadventures. It's fantastic. Commander Corelpheus recalls sneaking around to listen to warriors, panicking, and accidentally swimming straight into the captain's quarters, earning her 6 months of strict punishment. The Brian recounts his glorious, if totally flawed, guinea pig mind control array that inadvertently unleashed 3 straight hours of pet store chaos. Bite admits to swallowing his family goat's bell to hide evidence. His friends literally had to force it out of him because he jingled every time he barked. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Grimjaw simply states he always followed the rules perfectly, and if others had a problem with it, well, that was their problem. Classic stoicism. And Aloy rounds it out by recalling the time she kicked the Royal Guard's captain's son repeatedly for daring to treat her like a mount during a parade drill. It is just such a warm, incredibly specific encapsulation of who this eclectic group really is.
Now, 40. That's our magic number as they begin searching the room. Following these campfire confessions, Commander Corelpheus starts surveying the aftermath. She awkwardly pats down a living Bite, thoroughly mistaking him for a corpse, just so she can pocket his ornamental belt buckle. Meanwhile, the Brian successfully clears Bite's lingering injury, fully restoring his voice. And man, with his voice back and his great axe in hand, our giant dragonborn decides he is going to haul exactly 40 pounds of salvage books straight out of the dungeon. That is 40 pounds of dead weight. A brilliant, albeit incredibly heavy, logistical move.
Which brings us right into Part 2, Transactions in Otari. Recognizing that Grimjaw's health is rapidly tanking, the party makes a smart tactical withdrawal to the surface. They retreat through the werewolf tunnels, bidding the werewolf and Wolfie a final farewell. Once they hit Otari, their operational cycle is just running like a well-oiled machine. Step 1, they head to Blades for Glades, executing a highly discreet back closet tow sale with Carmen for 150 gold. Step 2, Bite makes a rather irritating book drop at Odd Stories, dumping his 40-pound load of salvage and netting 200 gold from a very, very exasperated Morlabend. And Step 3, they plan for the future at Galantin Deliveries, ordering a highly necessary bag of holding and wraps of unarmed power, which are slated to arrive in 2 days. Now for Commander Corelpheus, this is actually her very first experience in a human settlement, and the culture shock is absolutely real. She's utterly fascinated by the bizarre, one-plane, horizontal architecture of it all. She finds the very concept of bridges to be structurally inefficient compared to simply swimming, but the absolute climax of her confusion happens in Odd Stories. Humans. This is my first impression of humans. This unforgettable reaction just bursts out of her after Morlabend's incredibly handsome husband, Karlilov, physically demonstrates his own bedroom confidence right there in the bookstore. Bite, always trying to understand local customs, casually assumes this is just how humans say hello. Grimjaw, ever the stoic, simply uses the entire exhibitionist incident as further, undeniable evidence that he should avoid humans at all costs. But hey, it's not all chaotic cultural misunderstandings on the surface. Before heading back down into the dungeon, Coral actually earns 18 gold performing her Triton music and dancing for the local birdfolk. Bite generously gives his magical morning star to Grimjaw to complement his close-quarters combat style, and, the next morning, Aloy performs some aggressively effective, entirely non-regulated medical heroism. She miraculously cures Grimjaw's deep infection and punctured lung simply by dousing his wounds in pure alcohol. I mean, against all medical logic, it works perfectly, and our warlock is fully functional and ready for the depths once again. All right, moving right along to Part 3, the Ruined Library. Refreshed and rearmed, especially with the bride's newly purchased simple sling, the party descends once again. They completely ignore a silent, ornate northern stone door carved with a feminine figure, and instead, Bite confidently kicks open a southern passage. This reveals a ruined library, where two ghouls are casually lounging on low divans, reading books and snacking on decaying flesh. The ensuing skirmish is an absolute masterclass in chaotic efficiency. The ghouls smartly take cover behind the bookshelves, but Bite answers by rushing down the corridor and unleashing the necklace of fireballs. He instantly vaporizes one ghoul and its cover. Aloy follows up by charging the survivor, deflecting its claw and delivering an execution kick that brilliantly preserves the ghoul's toes for future profit. Amidst the carnage, they spot that same recurring vertical ribbon of corrupting light stretching from floor to ceiling. And what does the Brian do during all this? He casually invents a temporary pressure cooker in the middle of a dungeon hallway to make Bite's looted Morlock meat a little less gamey. Now that is incredible focus.
Next up, Part 4, The Foul Shrine Complex.
Moving south through these sequential airlock-style doors, the atmosphere changes drastically. They breach a room featuring a rotting, putrid heap of a dead, gibbering mouther, attended by two canker cultists draped in strips of Morlock flesh. The tactical priorities here present a hilarious contrast. Coral violently recoils from the stomach-churning smell, slams the door shut, and completely retreats. She opts to shout her magically empowered insults from a safe, distinctly less smelly distance. Bite, on the other hand, he charges right in. He's completely indifferent to the smell and entirely enraged because the cultists are, in his view, wasting perfectly good meat. This bold, food-motivated charge costs him, though. A cultist's touch leaves him with a permanent necrotic pinky scar. This whole foul encounter basically kicks off a massive 3-room combat gauntlet. Room 1 saw the library efficiently cleared by Fire and Aloy's hooves. Room 2 was the Foul Shrine, where cultists were decapitated. Actually, wait, they were literally mocked to death by Coral's devastating verbal strikes. And this leads right into Room 3, a space filled with dark soil mounds where animating violet fungi immediately attack with necrotic tentacles. This entire sequence ends beautifully with Coral's perfect insult and retreat maneuver, opening the door, hurling an insult at a fungus, and slamming it shut, while the Brian secures an incredibly satisfying critical kill, punching a magical slingstone right through the final fungus from the very back of the formation.
40 toes! We are back to that magic number. Despite Bite plunging his ears throughout the shrine combat to avoid Coral's voice, because, he's still fully maintaining his working hypothesis that she's a siren, he successfully decapitates a cultist with stunning precision. In doing so, he manages to add exactly 40 fresh toes to their newly empty bag. No matter the sensory conditions, the dungeon economy continues to thrive for this party.
And finally, that brings us to Part 5. The hidden elevator ascends. Sprinting away from those lingering smells in the shrine and fungus rooms, Coral pushes forward into a starkly clean, beautifully ordinary circular chamber. There are no smells, no immediate threats, just a single, mysterious skull carved directly into the eastern stone wall. Pressed by Bite, strictly because the Brian suggested there might be treasure, this triggers a hidden, grinding stone elevator mechanism. The floor rises up, breaking straight through the ceiling and rapidly transporting its occupants upward, pushing the entire party into a concealed upper-level chamber they had absolutely no idea existed. This sudden ascent just leaves behind a massive trail of unresolved threads. They now have a long, unmapped upper-level corridor stretching out ahead of them. Down below, that silent, ornate northern door remains completely unopened. Aloy's untreatable shadow scar is still this lingering mystery. The vertical ribbons of corrupting light corroding the dungeon stone are completely unexplained. And you have to wonder how the impending arrival of that game-changing magical gear, the bag of holding to solve their carrying capacity, and the wraps of unarmed power for Aloy will completely shift their subterranean logistics when it arrives in just 2 days. So I have to ask, what actually awaits in the unmapped corridor above? Leaving you right on the edge of the unknown, standing at a concealed door on a level they've never mapped? What horrors and what treasures are waiting in the dark architecture of the Gauntlet? Think about how far they've come and how much higher they might have to climb to uncover the real truth here. Keep those focus minds sharp, learners, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.